What is going on, y'all? It's been a minute. So in this video, we're going into 2023 very soon. I mean, it's literally less than 2 weeks away at this point. And you know, everybody always has their New Year's resolutions and goals and what they're going to focus and work on. And I want to talk about, for 2023, you know, I've been on this self-care journey for 4 years. And for 2023, I want to focus a lot on boundaries. A lot of people have been asking me to make videos discussing toxic parenting, narcissistic family structures, and I'm going to do that. So shout out to all of you who have left comments requesting that type of content to be created, those type of videos to be made. Because when we talk about boundaries, let's just keep it real. You're supposed to learn boundaries at home. Okay, your family, your parents, your parental figures, your guardians, they're supposed to be teaching you these things. And a lot of times when you grow up in dysfunctional, narcissistic, toxic households, boundaries are the last thing that you're going to learn about. And it's very detrimental because you become an adult that doesn't have boundaries, or the boundaries that you have are very weak and pathetic, which keeps putting you in situations where you're being exploited and used. And I'm just going to be real. Like, you have to know when to put your foot down and say no and be affirmative. Like, when you say no, it's affirmative. Like, there's no going back and forth. You're not feeling negative or sad or bad or down because you said no. But that's just it. A lot of us lived in households where we didn't really get a chance to speak up for ourselves. In fact, having boundaries in a lot of these narcissistic, toxic households, you will be seen as being selfish because you're not allowing people to have constant access to you. You'll be seen as being mean because you're not allowing somebody to constantly use you. So a lot of us learned that very early on, depending on the households that we lived in, depending on the family structures that we were in. And it does make it very difficult for you when you're an adult trying to set boundaries. And like I said, I've been on my self-care journey for 4 years. So a lot of these techniques that I'm learning about, I should have had this information at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I didn't start learning about until I was 26, 27, you know, and really getting into it at 28, 29, and now I'm 30. And it's just like, wow, you know, every day is a learning curve because this is information that I did not have previously. And then you'll also notice when you set boundaries, boundaries are not just for the other people that you're engaging with. Boundaries are also for you, right? Like, the boundaries are also about you and what you're willing to do and not do for yourself. And in a lot of ways, you know, when I look at boundaries, it's also about having discipline. Because again, if you don't have discipline and you're not affirmative, then you're going to go back on your own boundaries. You're not really going to stick to your own boundaries, you know, because you're going to be a pushover. You're a people pleaser, and that's also with yourself. You know, for example, you'll set a goal for yourself. You know, for example, I'm not going to wake up and be on Twitter, or I'm not going to wake up and be on YouTube. I'm just going to wake up in the morning, start my morning, let my dogs out, take them for a walk, feed them, get, you know, iron my clothes, get in the shower, you know, shower, put on my clothes, have a little breakfast, coffee, tea, whatever, and then head out to work without being on my phone. That's a boundary, right? That's a discipline. That's a goal. So that's what I mean by, to me, all of this kind of interconnects. Like, they all go together, you know what I mean? Like, if you got a goal, you need to be disciplined and you need to set boundaries to make sure that that goal is going to be met. You can't be going back and forth. Oh, well, I'm just going to look at Twitter for 5 minutes. Okay, you didn't meet your goal for today then. You know what I mean? And then as far as adult relationships, you know, the same relationships dynamics that you had if you came from a toxic, dysfunctional, narcissistic, wishy-washy family structure. Unfortunately, if you don't work on healing and really work to address your childhood trauma and childhood wounds, you may have the same dysfunctional, toxic, wishy-washy, narcissistic relationship dynamics with your adult relationships. This is why a lot of us keep running into people who don't even want us. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of us grew up with the parent figure who was basically a deadbeat and was in and out of your life or completely absent. So you spent a lot of your time having to chase love, chase affection, chase attention, chase romance, etc., because that's all you know. Like, so then you end up in the same situation as an adult. Like, you're chasing after people who don't want you. And it's like, what in the world? Like, you deserve somebody that actively chooses you, and not all of this you gotta perform. Basically, you gotta perform, beg and plead and prove you're worthy for them to want to be with you. And a lot of people will see that you're performing and you're kissing their ass and you're doing all of these things to get their attention, to prove that you are somebody that should be taken seriously and should be someone that you should commit to or be in a relationship with. And you're wasting your time, because a lot of times they know what you're doing, and guess what? The only person benefiting from this is them, because they're getting free things. You know, they're getting relationship benefits from somebody that they're not in a relationship with. And that's the same thing that you were doing when you were a kid, trying to get the deadbeat parent, the absent parent, to pay attention, to notice you. And a lot of us were doing that. You know what I mean? Like, we spent years trying to get our parents' attention, you know, and that's very detrimental. And a lot of us are now adults doing the same thing. You know what I mean? You're chasing after people that don't want you, that can't give you what you require, what you need, and you're getting your feelings hurt, and it's just not worthy. It's not okay to be doing. So to keep this short, 2023, my focus is going to be on boundaries. You're going to see more videos of me discussing boundaries and what I'm doing in my own life to set those boundaries, and how to protect yourself, and knowing that it's okay to walk away from people when they're not serving you the way you need to be served. Because that's another thing. If you're constantly chasing after mom, dad, whoever that was absent, right? You also got to get to an age where you have to realize you have to cut that parent or that parental figure or that guardian off, because you're going to spend your entire life basically reliving the same childhood trauma, except now you're older and it's just even becoming more ridiculous. So you have to be okay with leaving people where they're at.